died, I feel like all the good things about England have died with her.
Oh shit!
Not to be like pessimistic and sad on this stream, but all the beautiful things about England and all the things about the royal family and tradition, etc., it's all gone along with it.
You're really sad about the Queen dying?
100%, bro.
You don't think the kids and like fucking each other's cousins?
Oh my god, bro!
You don't think the Queen was an OG?
Yo,
I guess.
I will say this: London was a great time, but I never want to live there, bro.
You know what? Maybe I'm naive. I know what Sneako's saying, but maybe I'm naive. But I think that a lot of the true degeneracy that you see in the world is semi-modern. And I don't think that Queen Elizabeth, who was alive and driving trucks during World War II, bro.
Damn.
During World War II, she was driving trucks. She was in the army in World War II, and she's been through all this shit since the 30s. I don't think she didn't love her country. And I don't think that the world and the whole Commonwealth, because England was in charge of the Commonwealth, the whole Commonwealth wasn't unified behind her. And I think that the royal family's lost its prestige. Now she's died. Nobody gives a fuck about Charles. It's over now. And the world we live in now, a lot of the problems with the world is because we're losing our traditions and we're losing our older ways of thinking. And I'm not saying that the elites, you know what I think about the elites, you know what I think. And I know you can lump the royal family in there with them. I get it. But having a monarch for 70 or 80 years who was there during the war, and she's been there the whole time, and she was in charge of not just England, the entire Commonwealth, Canada, New Zealand, Australia, African countries, all this shit, India. She's a G. You can't say she's not a G. Queen Elizabeth II, she's a G. OG. You can't say she's a G.
Definitely old.
She's an OG.
She's an OG, and now she's gone, and they're replacing her with this new guy. And I think a lot of the problems with the world today are all because of all the new think and the new things they're trying to replace things with. All the old traditional ways. We sit here and we all talk about masculinity. That's an old idea, and they're replacing it with a new idea. And what's the new idea? Trash. So when they get rid of the longest reigning monarch, and they said they're going to replace it with fucking some new dude. To me, that's bad news. That's my personal view anyway. Right.
She probably ate some kids, though.
Well, I don't know.
She ate one baby.
You think so?
If that happened, we wouldn't have no idea.
Diana, did she do it?
Ooh.
Well,
should I be asking this question?
You can ask. I mean,
do you think she did it?
Did Queen Elizabeth?
She is a G.
She is a G. Sometimes as a G, you got to get the talons out. I don't know. I don't know if she did it. All I know is that I think that let me correct my speech. I know that England at one point was the largest and most fearsome empire on the planet. I actually think that it was the best empire in the world, not just because it was the largest, because I think it was genuinely the best to live under. In modern worlds, everyone, when she died, all the liberals were celebrating, saying she's a colonist, etc., etc. If you lived under the British Empire, you had a semi-good life. They turned up and they built roads and schools and monuments and built a railroad. And everyone's complaining about the British Empire. If you lived under the Japanese Empire, it was worse because they just chopped your head off for being a fucking peasant. They didn't build shit. Like, fuck you. Give me that. Oh, and pull out the katana. So at least the British built shit. So the British did good for the entire world as a whole. The world back then was different. I'm not saying colonization is a good thing. I'm saying that back then it was just empires. You were a part of an empire, one of them. That's how it worked. And she was the head of the Commonwealth for a very long time, and I was genuinely upset when the Queen died. Maybe it's the patriot in me, but I thought the Queen was a G.
Don't you think the natives deserve to celebrate her death?
Why would they?
The Native Americans, anybody who's suffered from colonization?
Did they? Well, this is a really interesting question because you talk about suffering from colonization. If you look at a lot of do you think India, let me ask you the question then. Do you think India suffered? Do you think India is in a worse place now than it would have been if it was never colonized by the British? Now, I'm not saying the British didn't kill people. I'm not saying they were completely fair, but also the world was a different place back then. Nowhere was fair. If the British didn't turn up to India in the 1800s, then the Indians would have been killing the Indians. People just killed each other. That's how it worked, right? Do you think India would be in a better place today if it was never colonized by the British?
I mean, they're pooping in the streets right now.
What would they be doing if they didn't? The British didn't turn up. I mean, if you look at some of the best buildings in most of these countries or some of the most critical infrastructure, it's the shit the British built 200 years ago to this day. And they had their liberation for a very long time, and they haven't managed to surpass the infrastructure the British built. Do you want to talk about why that is? I mean, I'm sure there's reasons, but my point is, the British turned up to a country. They ruled India with less than fucking 60,000 men. The Indians could have kicked their ass any time, but they turned up and they gave genuine value to the point people thought, okay, these white people turned up on this boat. They know shit. Oh, whoa, railroad. Well, okay. Whoa, schools. They didn't do it purely by force. India is a big place. They did it with a very small contingent, and they did it by adding value. And yeah, the British were not people you want to fuck with, but they definitely added value to their colonies. And I know this is going to upset the whole fucking world. All the people are going to say I'm a colonist. This is a pretty diverse panel. I don't know where I come in on the Brown scale, but I know where I come in. Yeah. It's a pretty diverse panel. But the world was a dangerous place back then. And I think being under the British Empire afforded these countries a lot of security and safety and technological advancements. And I don't think it was all completely a bad thing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm from Barbados, so like we were colonized as well. But you know, we got our independence as well. But Andrew, as a young man in navigating the Matrix, where do you think somebody needs to live nowadays in terms of like place to live? What's the best location you think possible for a guy to live in these times?
That's a good question. It's a hard one for me to answer, but I think that should be the first question to the panel. So let's go through one by one. Let's change the question slightly. When you're deciding where you want to live on the planet, what are you looking for?
Depends on how much money you have. If you're American, Miami's the move, or Puerto Rico. But if you have more money, if you have top G money, then Croatia, I think sounds good. Albania, Romania, obviously. But most
why?
people can't answer that question.
But why?
Everything you say about Eastern Europe, about the traditional values, about the lack of feminist indoctrination, about the weather is nice, things are cheap, people are nice,
Girls are skinny.
girls are skinny. We saw one, but there has not been one fat under 40 woman this whole time.
That's been the challenge of the whole week.
Try to find one?
I challenged Myron and Sneeko at the beginning of the week to find a girl under 40 that was fat.
Yeah, it's not a societal norm here. It's not accepted in the same way. So societal norms have a large part to play on how we act as a whole, which you can extrapolate to everything, right? The societal norm in Eastern Europe is to not be fat and it's to not be a hoe, for example. Whereas in the West, they don't have those societal norms and people act in a certain way. Maybe I'm getting old and boring, but I like to live. When I was last in Miami, which is the best city in America, hands down.
Nice.
Best city in America, hands down.
Miami.
This can't like anyone who talks about New York, they're idiots, right? And Miami is the best. But to me, sorry, bro. Sorry, Sneeko. To me, it feels godless.
It is. That's why I
It
love
just feels godless. When I'm in Miami, I'm just like, not New York, Miami. I'm like, this is fun, but it just feels, where's God? God ain't here. This hoe, that hoe. Like, I'm just like, where's God? He forgot about Miami. I don't know. It just feels godless. Like, and maybe I'm getting old and boring, but I like to just see the traditional business run by the family and the hotel run by the family and the women going to church on a Sunday. And that's what I like about Eastern Europe. Maybe I'm getting old and boring.
So I'll say this. It depends on what you want. Personally speaking, if you want girls, you got a little bit of paper, go to Colombia. Not much to do there, but the girls, the scenery, the food is cheap. And then if you want to have fun, you have money, Miami for sure.
All right, so let's carry on with the question. So, yeah, fresh. Let's say money's no object. Let's say we all have hundreds of millions of dollars, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You could live anywhere on the planet. Where would you live and why?
Money is not object. I'm not gonna lie, bro. Probably Colombia. Give me 1,000.
Colombia? Why?
First off, the girls are beautiful. They're at least somewhat feminine. The money goes very far. So, for example, like you could be a G with only like 50K, 100K a year. And honestly speaking, like it's skill because, for example, people that go there have businesses, other Americans. So it's kind of like you have your own community guys that are successful and hot girls. I mean, you can't really lose. So
Mine wants to go to Dubai, right?
I'll go last. I'm producing over here.
Justin, what about you, bro? Where you living?
Man, we were just talking about this in the war room, but to me, man, it matters who's there. So you can go anywhere in the world you want. It could be the best place on earth. If your boys aren't there, bro, it's shit.
It's true.
Number one.
It's true.
Colombia, I've been. I like it. I think you need a plug there, like you need a plug in anywhere else.
George
but
Gammon.
You need a plug. No, you need a plug that's local because Colombia can be very dangerous also. So I would have to say Europe in some regard, probably Eastern Europe somewhere. Based off of my experience, I like Dubai, but it kind of feels like an island. I would not go to where is it ever? Dominican? Is it
DR, Dominican Republic?
Yeah, but then you get island fever, man. So I would say Eastern Europe somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not going to live in the States and you're not going to live in Miami. That would be my bet. But without your boys, it's shit anyway. I'd rather live in Indiana with my boys than live in the best country on earth with nobody. So that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, I think people pretty much know my answer. But yeah, Justin's right. It's a lot about the people you're with. It's about what stage you are in your life. But certainly the people you're with are going to influence your reality. I've been to a lot of places. I've been all around the world. The number one thing people say to me is, Tate, you have so much money. Why don't you travel? The first thing is I do travel. All I do is fucking travel. It's annoying. But the second thing is that the world's the same, man. You either go out to a restaurant or you stay in. You fuck a bitch, you watch TV or sit on the computer. The world's the same pretty much everywhere. So you got things like weather, you got things like the general safety of a place, but then you got to go for the intangibles. I like driving past churches. That's why I live in Romania. I like driving past churches. Sounds stupid, but there's nothing there's nothing that America has that Romania doesn't have. I can buy a Lambo here. There's a Lamborghini garage. There's fucking clubs. There's bottles. There's Dompi. There's bitches. There's restaurants. Like what does Miami have that Bucharest does not have?
Not much.
Nothing. It's all the same. It's all here, and this is a poor country, right? It's all here.
People say it's a poor country, but that's a lie.
It's a straight lie.
So false, bro. Like, dude, the clubs are lit here. Girls are bad here. And the cars, bro. This Lamborghinis outside driving up and down, Porsches, everything is like it's lit, bro.
Yeah, there's a lot of money here.
Yeah,
It's very first world.